Hello, guys, and welcome to Why We Build Ep.2, the Utrust and xMoney podcast that will help you get a better perspective on the reasons why we are also dedicated to building this technology, to building a new form of internet that is free to all, available for all, and that truly undoes all the damage that the decentralization of traditional institutions has brought to our digital lives. This time, on our second episode, we decided that we wouldn't be just talking about our own ecosystem, about our own project, and about how we build. We decided to bring in a number of guests from outside of Utrust, from outside of xMoney, to share a little bit about their experiences, to share a little bit about why they are building. We found some projects that are incredible, some projects that are both up and coming, brand new, some projects that are established in the space and well known amongst our family and our users, our community. And we have given them the space to tell us their story. So you are going to watch three very spirited, very lively conversations between myself and the lovely people from DENITES, here from Portugal. We are very close to them geographically, and we are also very close to them in terms of their ideas of what Web3 should be, of what the internet should look like in the future. Then we were fortunate enough to also have Mihai, the CEO and founder of XOXNO, the wonderful creative hub and NFT marketplace that is also integrated into the Multiverse X family and the Multiverse X universe. And then, last but not least, we were very lucky to be able to welcome Andrew, the advisor for an incredibly different and special project called the World Challenge Game, something that brings in a physical tabletop game into the discussion about Web3, about NFTs. It's an educational project. It's a project that seeks to bridge the physical and digital worlds. It's very fun. It's very interesting. I definitely recommend that you check out all three interviews. They are coming up next. But before we do that, I will recommend that you subscribe to this channel, you subscribe to our podcast. I don't know whether you're listening to us on Spotify, you're on Apple, you're on YouTube, wherever you are, please subscribe. Please like this post. Please follow us. It really does help more than you think that we manage to ensure the continuity of this project, and we manage to continue making the content that you want to see. So if you do like us, if you do appreciate this, then follow us, like us, subscribe us, find all our links everywhere. We are all over social media. If you are watching us on video on YouTube, then you will see all our links below me. You'll also find all the links and all the informations from the projects that we are going to be interviewing today all over our social media and all over our descriptions. So follow them too, give them a follow, give them some love, show them show them that you want to see them on the podcast again, maybe in the future. And now, without further ado, let's move to the actual episode. So we're very happy to welcome Mihai onto the podcast. Mihai is the CEO, and if I'm not mistaken, one of the founders of XOXNO, one of the Multiverse X family's more prominent members, as we are, and we're happy to have him here, happy to have him on the podcast. So Mihai, how did you get into Web3?
Hi Zamith, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, my journey started a long time ago with Multiverse X. Actually, my first, let's say, blockchain that I joined like full time. I joined Web3 via the trust taking. I am also the founder of trust taking agency, equal to provider on Multiverse X. And after a year of running this agency, I started to invest our rewards in building actually something new, exploring the space, DeFi, NFT, and that's how we started actually XOXNO. So yeah.
So what attracted you to the space? What brought you in? Why did you think, okay, this is different from what the Web2 people are making?
Yeah, I was working actually before in Amazon in a Web2 traditional company, and I didn't survive much because my mentality was way different than the, big tech companies. I couldn't just follow the same pattern. So that's why I joined full-time crypto, fiat, trust taking, and XOXNO, because I wanted to change this. I want people to work different. All our employers are working actually remotely, and when they are free, they are learning Web3. I don't have like professional Web3. There is nobody professional right now. Everyone is
not for now anyway, right?
Learning. So if someone tells you that has 7 years experience in Web3, is not true.
No, no,
So
no.
yeah,
There's no 7 years to be had, unless you're hiring Satoshi himself.
yeah. If I found him, uh, yeah,
So,
that's
but
what we are
what
doing.
you used an interesting word there. What do you mean by pattern in Web two?
There is a pattern that every time you want to launch something, you have to go through like 10 meetings and you plan this for a year and then you put it on the market. Maybe there is not even the time to put it in a year again. In Web3, it's something like you had to have this product done yesterday because everything moves fast. So
Right.
it moves very fast. Like if I want to launch now a new tool on XOXNO, probably another three marketplaces and other chains have it. So if you want to innovate, you have to move quick, and also you have to choose the best chain which allows you to do this. Like I
Mm.
think if we would be on Ethereum, we couldn't build what we did on XOXNO on Multiverse X that fast and that good because limitations of the chain. So that's why we build here on Multiverse X at first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But so, what is the problem you're trying to fix? Well, aside from the process part, which is fascinating to me, it's actually one of the reasons I love being here as well. Is that everyone seems to be moving faster than everyone everywhere else, and everyone seems to be enjoying the process a lot more. What are you trying to fix? What's the main pain point that you felt that Web two could never get to, and that you are getting to?
Web2 was never able to actually attract people that love the product. Like Web2 so far, they attract people that just need that product to use it daily. Like, do you
Hmm.
really need Amazon for, I don't know, you enjoy going to Amazon to shop? No, it's a need that you go there to get your stuff. But Web3 is more like towards creators, communities, like it's kind of like the old way of staying on the internet at the beginning with people that you didn't know. It was just a chat but
Hmm.
you make friends. But this way you can actually monetize it. Like you can have a group of NFTs, you can have a group of developers in DeFi, and you stay together, code, explore the space, innovate.
Hmm.
So this is something that attracts me. Like stay connected with people. In a corporation, you don't stay connected with people. You just go there, you work, you know them 8 hours, and that's all. Then you never talk again too much. So it's
That's
different.
actually a fascinating idea. You feel like this is sort of like already connected to the notion of a metaverse, right? You are building a digital life that you actually enjoy instead of just using the internet to solve problems. Is that what
Yes,
you're getting
yes,
at?
yes, exactly. Yes.
That's very interesting. How does XOXNO put this in practice?
So right now our plan is to onboard more people on the Multiverse X, and we found some pain points in that. Uh, some people are not going to change the chain that fast if we want to adopt them on
Hmm.
our chain to bring them in this community. And also people out of crypto, they cannot join that quick. And here is where Utrust can help us, xMoney, TwistPay can help us, that we work together towards this goal. We want to have a seamless experience for new joiners. Like you don't need to have a crypto wallet maybe, or you don't need to have crypto in the first day. You can just pay with your credit card, and we will do the
Hmm.
magic behind the scenes for you to actually join the ecosystem, get your first NFT, and be part of that NFT community. So this is something that is very complicated on other chains. Like if you go to OpenSea right now, you need the Ethereum wallet. You
Yeah,
need to
yeah, yeah.
know how MetaMask works, which is very painful even for me, which I'm a developer. So I don't imagine my father getting MetaMask, but he has X
No.
Portal, Maya, and it's very, very simple. So this is where we try to push with XOXNO towards this goal of actually having products that reach the consumer in a way that no other chain does. So Elrond is very well positioned to do this via different technical aspects and also partners like Utrust, xMoney, TwistPay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you feel like that going forward that will be one of the main difficulties for adoption in the space onboarding? Like we are still very much dependent on centralized institutions for some things when it comes to onboarding.
I feel like we need to be. I don't think there is a way to be fully decentralized out of every centralized thing, because in the end of the day you need the regulations. Like, how do I actually join in a legal way in crypto? Like, do I just give money on an anonymous address on the internet and I join? So no, if we really want to make it work, I think Multiverse X approached it very well, like mixing a bit of centralized companies like QuizPay, Utrust, having a bank license from the central banks, uh, actually gives more credibility to investors or normal people to join this ecosystem, because they feel like we are in the both sides of Web 2, Web 3.
Right.
There is a bridge that is legal, so I feel it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But do you feel like that is going to be that's the future? The future looks like this as well, or is this something
Uh,
that is sort of temporary? We are still bridging the gaps. What's your vision,
I
basically?
think the vision for the next 10 years will be centralized with decentralized, because the old people don't know that much Web3, internet. My age people are not very interested, but I think that the people from 10 years from now, they will already be born with this knowledge of avoiding the centralized and joining directly Web3, right?
Right.
So I don't know if there will be a shift towards this in years when people will learn this by, I don't know, 5 years old, they will know what's that. So I think it can be, but I don't see it happening like soon. It's just a generation change.
Right. It's a generational thing.
Yeah.
May I ask you about xMoney as well? Because you mentioned the role you saw for Utrust and Chispe, and from April onwards,
Mhm.
just xMoney. How do you see that role in not just in XOXNO's future necessarily, but in the whole space? How do from an outsider's perspective, sort of, how do
Yeah.
you see it?
I mean, what was presented in the X day with the app inside of Exporter where you can top up. Probably people don't
Mm-hmm.
know how that mechanism works, but that mechanism actually works between Utrust Pay, which is now xMoney. So they see it just in a cool interface, very easy
Right.
onboarding, but behind it's a lot of stuff that they don't know, and maybe they don't even have to know, because they just care to do the switch between Euro and the GLD or vice versa on their card. So this is the first good example that it's going to change everything in crypto. I never saw another crypto app like this, uh,
Mm-hmm.
which it's more 80% decentralized than Revolut, which is like 100% centralized. Like people will
Yeah.
start comparing Revolut with X Portal soon, but it's not the
Oh, they
same.
will for sure.
It's
But
not the same.
that's actually something that interests me very much as someone who is on a marketing team, is that these are apps that will look and feel the same from a user perspective. If the user doesn't care about where their money actually is, what their money is actually doing, but at their core, they are entirely different. Um, do you feel like this is something that we need to do a better job of, meaning getting people to care about the inner workings of these apps, because people aren't used to that. We are, I guess, as someone who is part of the first digitally native generation of all, right? I am 34, so I was the first generation that grew up with a computer in the house. That didn't exist before me. I wasn't brought up to care about how the things work on the background. All that matters to me is what I see and what I can do. Do you feel like we need to do a better job of getting people to care about these things?
I think it's very hard. I mean, I have 21 years old, so I'm pretty young. I born already with a computer in hands, so
Right.
I was the generation actually assembling it and disassembling it. So maybe it was just me liking to do that, but I don't feel that most of the population will like to know all this technical stuff, how it works. But the
Hmm.
accent that I will put if I would be in the position of marketing exporter would be just the difference, the fundamental difference between the apps, not more than that. Like, hey,
Okay.
this is your wallet, you control it. This is Revolut, you don't control it.
You don't control it exactly.
So That's all. You shouldn't know how it happens if you don't want to know, but you should be aware of these aspects.
What do you see is what do you think is Fiat's role in us moving forward? Do you feel like it still plays a very important part in how people interact economically, even with Web3?
Yeah, checking XOXNO since we released the fiat payments, we see that over 30% of our monthly volume is coming only from credit cards or debit cards payments. Even if people are actually in the Web3, they prefer the commodity to just put their credit card and buy the NFT because it's faster and maybe they don't have the liquidity open in their wallet. So they just prefer to tap and pay. So we see a lot of volume coming from the fiat payments on Multiverse X, which is very good. I feel the adoption is coming via this gateway.
That's awesome. No, it's good. It's one of the reasons why I feel like it's so important for xMoney to include a fiat gateway as well, is for people to just use whatever they're more comfortable with. And as we build, as we take the time to perfect the product itself as well.
Yeah, we are also thinking at the cash out mechanism because most of the people ask, hey, can I put my NFT on sale for euro and I receive euro on my bank account? Technically, it's possible, but not yet. But it would be something cool. It would be the first NFT marketplace doing that.
Okay, that would be very cool indeed and very different. Mihai, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for taking the time. This went perfectly. There were no technical issues, so I don't think we need to take up all of the allotted time that we put aside. Cheers, my friend. Right. So I'm here with Andrew. Andrew is the advisor for one of the most exciting and wonderful games to come out of the Web3 world recently. It's called World Challenge Game. We will put all their links and all their information in the bio. So you will find them on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. You will be able to find all the information about World Challenge Game. But anyway, if you want to find it right now, it's worldchallengenft.com, where you will find the information and you can purchase the game as well. Andrew, welcome. Yep. We are very happy to have you on the Why We Build podcast. So let me start by asking you simply, why did you choose to make this game? Why did you guys decide that a game like this would be a great platform for NFTs and Web3?
I'm going to try to be the most simple possible, more simple possible. I know Bogdan is the CEO of the company from a year, I think. I am in Web3 community like myself, not we were challenged, but after that, after the time, Bogdan and I and all the team make a good relationship with me, and then we made an agreement with me to be an advisor of the project. Why Web3? Because at the beginning we thought that people or society needs to know more about Web3. Why? Because it's the future.
Okay.
So these answers, we already knew it. The problem is how you do this. So we both then start to think.
Do you think the game serves an educational purpose as well?
Yes. Actually, he has an
that's very cool.
education certification from the UE, European Union. So
of course,
you can find a lot of information inside about all general culture and blockchain. So it's made to people to get to know to something that they doesn't know yet. So it's easy for a person to open a box and play something, Maybe if you understand the game, you start trying, So in this way, in this in this row, people are going to know concepts and words and things that we speak or discuss in blockchain communities. You understand? So at the moment that the person,
because that's actually one of the interesting aspects of the game, right? Because when we think of Web3 and blockchain games, we usually think of video games, right? Digital games. But World Challenge actually has a physical objects that you can play with, like it's a tabletop game.
Yes, exactly. It's like I say, it's like a Monopoly game or something, but it's like with figures, and there is a map. You can move in the map and doing question in the time of the game. So it's pretty interesting because for me, I can tell you, I am a guy who is inside the Web3 community in Latin America and Europe, like all day long, 24/7 or 24/7. So it's the first time. Maybe I saw another one, but is the only one or one of the only one that I know who is doing this. So I think it's a great.
No, it's a very unusual concept, and I love it. I think the fact that you are bridging the gap between tabletop community and the people who like to play games with little figures and everything else, and the online video game Web3 market is pretty cool.
And there is more, but I can't say it because I had legal agreement. And so I can't speak that.
Right.
But we have more. We have more. It's really nice to know this kind of project, because I think this is the way that we can teach people to know Web3 in terms with no risk. Because a lot of people want to know Web3 like putting risk money, because crypto is like the relevant thing that they hear. We need to think like beyond that and say, okay, there is crypto here, but there is too supply chain, mental healthcare with blockchain, technology to make application for communication, decentralized apps, etc., etc., etc. So we say, okay, let's do something easy to people. What is the most easy thing that a human being can do? Play. So do a game and put information about blockchain inside the game and let the people make the rest. That's all.
Right. No, I'm actually very happy to hear you speak about these things, because that's actually something that we've been working very hard at Utrust to do as well. Is not just the educational aspect of it, though the educational aspect is important, but also to within our own community to speak about how this is not just about green lines going up. This is not just about everyone becoming wealthy all of a sudden. This is an actual technological project with extremely serious implications, and the teams that are doing the wonderful work of actually building these apps that sometimes take longer and sometimes are harder to do than the super flashy, super cool tokens that go 10 times in a day. They need that space to actually do the work and to actually do the building, and sometimes the community is not entirely understanding of this. And so it's great to have that education, and it's great to have projects like you just getting out there and trying to explain to people and to convey that message. That's pretty cool.
Next to that, I can say, Joao, I saw a lot of projects, because in my podcast in Twitter, the community in Twitter, Web3 or crypto Twitter is like strong. So CT, yeah. So I live there, and I can tell you, I saw a lot of projects, and you always saw like the same thing, like the same thing. The people just explain you in different way, but it's the same thing. Utility, how this work, and how it costs, and how much time it's going to take to do it. That's all. So with this, we say, okay, you have a product, and then you have a product with scalability, because it's not going to end there, because the board game is the first one. It's the first step.
Right.
We have.
Yeah, tell me about that. What's the project? Because it's surely not just one game.
I don't know if I can say it. I will try, but
just tell me what you can.
Okay. I can't tell you detail, but the game is going to evolve in time. Okay, we are going to have a different way to interact with the project, like an user. You, like a user, you will be able to interact with the project in first time with the board game, and all that includes. After that, we are going to have 2 steps where you are going to interact in a different way with the game. And the third one is a different thing.
Okay.
But it's word challenge. It's word challenge game, but it's a different thing. And it's going to blow minds. That's all I can say. But I'm going to give you a clue. Wait a second.
All right. I'm listening. Oh, that's cool. Okay. That's very cool.
That's a clue.
That's beautiful. That looks amazing. That looks very, very cool. How does the Web3 aspect of it work aside from the education? Like I saw in your website, there's an NFT element to it as well. Can you tell me a little about it?
The NFT are about the art, you say?
The Web3 aspect of it all. Like,
Okay.
is it a simple NFT, just art,
No.
no utilities, no nothing? How
It's
does it work?
it's a no, it doesn't work. No, actually, there are 7,700, I think. I'm not sure about because we changed already the number 2 or 3 times, but I can tell you there is a classification. You have 9 challengers. They are like the legendary NFT. Then you have
Right.
gold, platinum, 2 or 3 more, I think. Yes. After that, there is madera. I know how to say that in English. I forget it. Wood. The gold, platinum, plata, argent,
That's silver.
So
Yeah.
the difference between them is like in the future they are going to work like a representation of what are you capable to do or to get from the project, basically, to not give too much details. You are going to have a percentage that is going to be represented by the NFT. You are going to have to the auction to collect different NFT that only come in the board game. The NFT that because inside the bots, you are going to have your game and an NFT that you can claim. So these NFT are unique. You are not going to be
all of them are unique.
Yeah, because this kind of NFT, you are not going able to buy it by the website or minting it. They are going to come in the box only. So this is interesting because this is going to create a community that is going to learn, because the person who prefers to buy the bots instead of minting is putting more confidence in something tangible. So
of course,
something physical that they can touch. So this can give you the perspective of how much people or how many people is going to do this real onboarding in Web3. So at the same time, we are creating an experience with a user that you are going to be able to collect or create a family of collective from this thread of wood only for the board game. After that, the change between each of them is this percentage that I told you. I can say more. I want to, but I can't. Because it's insane.
When you come back, you can come back to the podcast.
It's insane.
In a few months or a couple of years, and you'll tell us everything.
Yeah, with pleasure, my friend. It's insane, but he has his difference, and you are going to notice this in the time for real. But you can see it. I think that they already modified the white paper, so you can see this. But I don't know how long Bogdan is capable to say, because Bogdan is this kind of guy who says something, but he's not saying all that, because he's a FOMO guy. He likes that. So so sometimes it's hard. That's why I'm not capable to say or not to say something, because he's special.
I see. No, I understand. So tell me about your relationship with Utrust, though, and xMoney and Multiverse X in general. How will that affect the platform in the future?
It's going to be something that is going to change. Definitely, is going to change the experience of the people. It's going to give us the capability to interact with people at the same time that people will feel safe to do any transaction. So I think that the decision to work with Utrust is giving us the power of the capability to show people or the community or all the actors in Web3 that we are not alone, and that we are doing really good collaboration with big partnerships in Web3. And this is important for us because we know that it's a community, it's an ecosystem that is in growth, está creciendo.
Right.
So it's important to have these bases, solid bases with people that is building for real, and they who has the I don't know, the dexterity, intelligence to help us to grow more. It's like I say, it's a collaboration. When we what we understand for collaboration is when a partner gets something from me and I'm getting from him. You understand? So we think that we can give to Utrust a lot of people that can get to know with the application. I understand that if with Word Challenge, a game that I bought and I use it, and it was really good. When I use the application of Utrust, it was fine. That give me the confidence to go to Utrust in other way, to use it in different way.
Right.
So at the same time, you are giving confidence to the people to go to another application or to know another creators and get more involved in Web3 community.
Right. Right. No, because that's definitely a key element of it, right? Is to build trust, to build confidence, to show people, especially after what happened in 2022, throughout the whole of last year. It's very important to be connected to serious projects that are actually doing the building. And I'm glad to be in your company as well. And it's beautiful to see that, you know, projects that are involved in Web3 and that believe in the industry at large are embracing crypto payments, because we do believe that, like, payments are the single thing that you can fix in the current world economy that will affect the most people in a positive way. If you can fix payments, if you can make payments efficient, fast, safe, cheap, then so many more avenues open up.
Totally agree.
Almost instantly.
Totally agree.
And there's a lot of, you know, sometimes there's a little resistance to this idea, and it's easier to just, you know, have credit card and PayPal and the traditional payment institutions. But so we are very, very, very thrilled to have you in the family. We love that you are taking on this challenge, and that you are bridging the gap between the physical and the digital worlds. That's very, very cool. That's also part of the mission at Multiverse X, this idea that all of these universes are interconnected and we must build bridges. So you are bridge builders, and congratulations for that.
No, João, I'm glad that you say that, because we in World Challenge, we are convinced that this is an early time, you know, the people is still trying to understand why they are in Web3. You understand? So what's the problem right now? And if you are in Web3 community, you are going to understand too. What's the problem? People wants to be someone, but they doesn't know them inside. You understand? So this is hard.
I do understand.
This is hard, you know, because at the end of the day, you are not going to understand the rest of the people if you don't understand yourself. You understand? So, what's the deal here? A lot of time ago, we separate religion from government. Talking about Utrust, we separate religion from government, and it was a great decision for society in the world to do that. And right now, we are in the gap to say, okay, we are going to separate money from the government or no, or how we are going to do that. So right now, I think that this separation is going to be something good, because money is something very important for human being, like religion, or even more, I think. So if we do that, we are going to do something good for society too, because we don't need to depend on a parent or a government to say how or when I need to spend my money, because it's me who work for that. So when we have something like Utrust, it's something important. Why? Because these actors are the guys who are in charge to really search for real how we are going to get involved to this process, who is going to change our life in terms of 5 or 10 years, you know. So it's really valuable for us to have partnership with people like Utrust, who is going to bring this to us and bring this to the world. So for us, it's thrilling. Let me tell you, it's really good.
Yeah. And this is to the theme of the podcast. This is why we are doing this, and this is why sometimes we are facing so much of the frustration and the hard times and the bear markets. And if you are involved in crypto, and you are, then some of the attacks and some of the things that you have to deal with just to do your job with, because of the scams, because of the people who don't understand the space, because of everything else, it can be somewhat tiring, and it can be demanding of you. So, and this is one of the reasons why we decided to do this podcast, is that we wanted to explain to people and to show to people why we bother, why all of this is worth all of the mess and the confusion and the chaos that that are the growing pains of the system. And yeah, so this was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being here, Andrew. I don't know if you want to add anything else about World Challenge, anything you want to tell our listeners. Please go ahead. This is your moment.
Thank you, my friend. I just want to say thank you, Joao, for this conversation. I want to do something else in Spanish. Let me know, because it's going to be awesome to have Utrust with us. I'm so glad that you are building this from real. It's not World Challenge right now. It's me who is talking. It's Andrew. And that's why I work with World Challenge, because Bogdan saw that in me, and and that's why I with them. But I just want to say thank you for all your work, all the patience, all the money loss, because we all lost money. And man, keep pushing, and I'm so proud to be here representing our World Challenge game. We are open to speak wherever you want, and thank you for the opportunity.
Cheers, my friend. Thank you. Okay, so you are here speaking for DENITES, which is one of our wonderful trusted partners in the Web3 scene here in Portugal. And I was wondering if either of you would like to give us tell us a few words about the project, about how it's going, where you are moving, and basically the status of DENITES as we speak.
Yeah, but maybe I can start. I guess I'm
Nuno, go ahead, please.
The oldest in the project here. So DENITES, I think it was. It's funny because I think it was built because of the pandemics, maybe. Back in 2021, when the COVID pandemic was basically starting to give us some relief, and we could hang out again. There were some people getting together to organize events around the Web Summit and the Lisbon Blockchain Month in Lisbon. And there was a bunch of local Web3 startups and companies in Portugal, but not just Portuguese companies, people that were living in Lisbon and in Portugal and wanted to build and were building things in the Web3 space. And basically, there didn't seem to be a space where we could be together and produce cool moments together. And that's how the idea behind DENITES first started. So basically, a bunch of people and a bunch of companies decided, okay, let's get together, let's create some side events and after parties in those weeks. And the first season of DENITES ended up having a lot more than just 4 parties, but the original plan was 4 events during the around the Web Summit and the Lisbon Blockchain Month in 2021, and that's how it started. And then there's a lot more story to tell.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so Paulo, what drew you to Web3? What made you feel like this was the kind of community that was worth investing in?
Well, me specifically, I've been dabbling in this space since 2016, I guess.
Wow, that's very, very early.
And I've been doing a bunch of stuff and been a miner for a while, which is interesting. And most recently, like a year and something ago, I just decided that I was tired of the corporate world, and I would go full time into Web3, and that's what I did. and I've been working in DAOs and doing research about DAOs and creating DAOs and a bunch of other stuff in the Web3 world. And I've also organized a bunch of meetups in the past, especially in the design world, because I'm a designer. Mm-hmm. And I was also pretty depressed with the whole COVID situation because we couldn't do more meetups.
I guess most of us will probably feel the same way.
I think
we're with you in that one for sure.
And yeah, I mean, when we were able to get together again, DENITES was the place that started to harness some energy around organizing events in Lisbon specifically. Mm-hmm. And it started in 2020, like 2021 actually, like Nuno said. And then in 2022, last year in October, November, with Web Summit and with a bunch of events that were done, I think it's fair to say that DENITES was really the place to be. And all the workshops that were done, all the talks, all the meetups, and especially the party. And it was pretty awesome to see the community coming together, bootstrap, and from the ground up, and organizing all those cool things that a lot of people enjoyed. Not just us Portuguese people in here and in the scene in here, but all of the foreigners that came to Portugal in those weeks to participate in the conferences that were around. And I think we left a good mark. And I remember that. I mean, for almost everybody that I was talking to, what I was hearing was like, I'm going to cancel my flight back and I'm going to stay in Portugal for a while. And so we contributed a bit for that feeling, I guess.
I'm very interested in the DAO aspect of it because you said you were researching DAOs and working with DAOs for a while now. I'm very interested in that aspect. How do you feel like the concept of a DAO and the organization of a DAO helps promote a company like DENITES or an initiative like DENITES succeed and grow?
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about the DAOs in a bunch of contexts for a bunch of reasons. But I believe that the concept of DAOs and the idea of DAOs doesn't apply to everything. You know,
of course,
it's not like as if now you can turn everything into a DAO. That doesn't make sense. There are some things that make more sense.
But that is actually one of the characteristics of the space, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the main
whenever
things,
we discover something cool, we want to apply it to everything and make it work.
Exactly. But DAOs are more adequate as a concept to apply to certain kind of things. And ever since I've been organizing meetups for last 10 years or something in the design space specifically, I've always felt like, okay, I'm doing this voluntarily, right? I'm not getting paid to organize these meetups, these simple meetups, and so on. But they have value for the community because they bring people together, they create network, they create job opportunities for some people, some exposure for the companies that host the meetups and sponsor them, all that, right? So that kind of organization that does that kind of thing is not really bound by normal corporate and not even profit-seeking motives so much as a company, right? And so those kind of organizations are much more adequate to be run and organized and governed as DAO than anything else. Mm-hmm. And so things like what we're thinking about doing nowadays, which is turning DENITES into a full-fledged DAO or more of a DAO, I think it makes sense, and I think it's exactly this kind of groups of friends on the internet that could become a DAO, and that makes sense to operate as a DAO. So yeah,
right. Nuno, can you tell me about that? About what Paulo means as a fully-fledged DAO? Can you explain the difference, just for the listeners at home?
I was hearing Paulo talk, and the first thing that got into my mind is we're lucky to have this guy around because, to be honest, when we first started thinking about DAOs, at least from my personal perspective, I had zero experience building DAOs, and it was we just knew what it was. We understood that we had a community, and we had a bunch of people that wanted to be together and do things together. And somehow that community had this sort of belonging feeling. And we started talking to each other, and it felt right to try and build something that we called the DAO. But to be honest, there wasn't any technology in the DAO
until very recently. Until then, we were just acting like DAOs do in terms of more like the principles forms of doing things, like being transparent, engaging people on decisions, making sure everybody knew what was happening. But there wasn't token gated channels in the beginning where we started doing all the things, and then we eventually started doing those things step by step. And now going to what you asked. Basically, in the past few months, we started to deliver these beats of being a proper DAO. We released an NFT where people that have that NFT, which were basically the main contributors of this season. For example, Utrust has a few NFTs for being the main sponsor, one of the main sponsors of DENITES during this season. And basically, all those sponsors have access now to token gated channels where we discuss next steps on how the DAO will what the DAO will do, and we're thinking about throwing like proper gatherings of the DAO, maybe more exclusive events with those people. But at the same time, we did it in a public way, so anyone can buy the NFT and be part of the DAO and contribute to this cool community. So not going into the technicalities, I think being a DAO makes totally sense for what we're doing and what we're focusing on, which is decentralizing decisions and decentralizing communities too, because one of the things we do is being a community of communities.
Yeah, because that's what I think makes it. That's I think what drives this podcast really is the title says it all, is why we build it. And like you've just given me a pretty wonderful explanation as to why Web3 provided you with the tools to do something you wanted to do anyway, right? It's not like it's the opposite of what we were saying of people trying to shove everything into DAOs. You actually had a necessity and you actually had a structure that benefited from what Web3 can bring. So I guess you found your own answer to the question we're asking in this podcast is, why are you building a DAO? You are building a DAO because you needed the kind of structure, the kind of horizontal structure and open, transparent that maybe Web2 can't provide you with proprietary software from corporate multinational. So tell me about what the future looks like for the DENITES DAO. Now that you are becoming a fully fledged DAO with your own NFTs and token gated channels, etc., what does the future look like?
I can riff a bit on that, maybe.
Sure, please.
There's I mean, I'll just like to bring a bit of perspective, which is, I don't believe there's a fully fledged DAO anywhere in the world yet. Okay,
right? Of course.
So the ideal of fully fledged DAO is very far away for everybody, and for the DENITES DAO for sure.
Actually, before you don't forget what you were saying, but what do you mean? Why do you feel like this is something that hasn't been reached yet?
Well, because the initial concept of DAOs, as Vitalik said in 2016 or whatever, mean that an organization can be fully decentralized and fully autonomous. And autonomous in the sense that things run by themselves via smart contracts, and they execute by themselves, and they keep executing forever, unstoppable, in the Ethereum blockchain, right? There's no organization right now that runs like that.
Okay, that's right.
on the autonomous part. There are a few protocols that do, like a few protocols that actually do run a bit autonomously, and where people can vote on decisions, and those decisions get voted on chain, and those on-chain votes get translated into code that executes and changes the protocol or changes the smart contract, and that kind of already exists a bit. But they only use those kind of decisions and votes for a certain very particular types of decisions, not all decisions, right? Not the big meta social decisions, let's say. But so in terms of being autonomous, very few organizations are autonomous. In terms of being decentralized, a few are making good efforts of being decentralized. And so the DAO, right? Everybody is an O. Some people are a D. Almost nobody's an A. That's kind of the thing.
That's fair enough.
But we at DENITES now, we've taken the first steps to become more decentralized, right? And one of the ways is exactly what we explained. Like we do have a way for people to get into the community officially, and having a key that we cannot take that key back, right? They own the NFT. If we don't like them in the DAO, we cannot expel them because they already own the NFT. Right? That's very important. That's a very important detail. And so with that key, with that NFT, they can vote on proposals. They can propose their own proposals. They can help on the decision-making process of the DAO. And get special perks, like get maybe eventually some swag and some access to some exclusive events that we will probably organize in the future, and we're hoping to organize in the near future. And so the next steps for making the DENITES more of a fully fledged DAO is to bring more people into the decision-making process of what we want to do next, and to allow anybody that has access to it, because they have the NFT, to influence the future of the DENITES. Because that's what real ownership is about, is when you own something, you should be able to decide how to manage it, right?
Absolutely, of course, so that's the whole point.
If everybody owns a bit of the DENITES with owning the NFT, then they should be able to decide how it should be run. And we as a group can harness good ideas from everybody, right? And good proposals from everybody if they propose it, right? And we can take advantage of that collective intelligence to run this better. And that's kind of the idea for the whole thing.
May I ask you, how did your relationship with Utrust come by? Nuno, just to bring you into the conversation as well. How did that happen? How did that come to be?
Well, my relationship with Utrust is actually old. From a personal perspective, I work at Visual, so I know Utrust for a long time, and I have some of my best friends working there. So I know very good people on the team. But concerning DENITES, Utrust was one of the first companies that we reached out. And we thought it would be one of our perfect partners to start this side events and promoting communities. And I think since the first event, Utrust has always been our sponsor and our partner. We have actually hosted a few events, not just in Lisbon. Some of them were hosted in Braga, and it were organized or co-organized with Utrust. And that's one of the things we do often at the DENITES DAO. We try not to host everything. Also, the idea of hosting is sort of decentralized. So one of the things we do a lot of times is we bring the community, but we try to rotate the hosts. So, for example, we have hosted 2 or 3 meetups in Braga, some others in Porto, others in Lisbon. And for example, recently we reached out to Madeira's community and to some Web3 companies there. And it was our first DENITES on an island. And our role was mostly just to bring the community. So going back to the original question, I think Utrust has been one of the greatest partners we've had since the beginning, because every time we were there asking, so let's do some crazy thing, you guys always answer, okay, let's do it. We're here to help.
Yeah, this has actually been one of the themes of this interviews, because you are the third company that I'm interviewing for this episode of the podcast. And it's interesting that while community as a vague concept is sort of one of the cornerstones of Web3, everyone always brings it up. But all of you guys have brought up this idea of making this space more personable and making this space more human, and creating these connections that are not just digital and aren't just happening online. But Mihai from XOXNO actually used a sentence that I really liked, and that I felt helped explain a lot of the passion for the space, and a lot of the reasons why people want this more decentralized, more horizontal form of looking at technology and tech development to establish itself, is that if we are going to live our lives more digitally, and if we are going to have more significant and important digital lives, then they need to be enjoyable. They need to be fun. They need to be something that we have an emotional connection to, and not just something technologically efficient. So how do you guys look at it? Is this something that you identify with? Is this something that you feel is part of your ethos as well, or is it different?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm a designer myself, and so what I try to do, and I've been trying to do, is to create software that is a little bit more human, a little bit more relatable, a little bit more fun, a little bit more emotional, and we suffer a lot in the Web3 space from software that is very transactional, right? The very nature of most software in Web3, because of its upbringing, is from the financial background. And so it's not a surprise, maybe, that most of the experience that you have interacting with Web3 software is transactional, meaning the opposite of relatable, emotional, connective, and so on. And so I actually do believe that there's a huge challenge from the adoption side of things, which is most people don't like to interact with software that feels transactional. They like to interact with software that feels more human and fun and makes them feel good stuff. And so that's possible to do if it is well designed. And so, I mean, one of the things that I try to do on the daily is to try to look to this whole space from the point of view of a designer, as I am, and try to figure out, okay, this particular bit right here could be more human. This particular bit right here could have a better experience, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it was interesting to me, actually, when I started getting into Web3 and when I started learning about crypto, is that right after the currencies, which were the first piece of the puzzle to come up, NFTs were a big explosion of popularity as well, because they are so different. They are, regardless of how you feel about what the scene became, they are essentially collectibles and pieces of art, which is not something, I mean, maybe it's not something that I would expect to see becoming the next relatively mainstream thing right after currencies. So that, I think, belies a little of that yearning for a more human and more creative, if you will, part of our digital lives.
And expressive.
That's and I think that's also a big part of why Multiverse X and the company that Utrust and xMoney belongs to, the reason why they want to build their multiverse, their collection of metaverses, in the way that they want to build them, is because they don't think it can ever be a closed space, that it needs to be a non-chain space where anyone can, like you said, with the part of being a DAO means that you can't kick out the people that you don't like, and it means that once people are part of the ecosystem, that they belong as much as anyone else. I think that's also a big part of why Multiverse X is building what they're building in the way that they are building it.
And also another thing, which is people can also leave it at any time. They have the ability to leave it at any time whenever they want. They cannot be held hostage from the organization, right? Which is an upgrade from current.
Oh, absolutely.
And so they can sell the NFT, make some money, hopefully. And so if they don't like the community, they don't need to get a loss, right? They can leave whenever they want, which means that the people that stay are actually the people that want to stay.
Yeah,
which is the goal of a healthy community, which is to have people that want to stay there and that like to be there, and without having to manage the whole bureaucratic part of human relations that usually happens on corporations.
I guess this is I think the driving factor behind most of what we do in this space, is to build an internet that we have some sort of control over, whether we want to join it, whether we want to leave it, whether we want to hop around different spaces and different platforms, and feel like what we've built and the the whatever we leave behind is actually ours in a way, and not owned by someone in Cupertino, California. If anyone is listening from Cupertino, California, we love you. This is not a dig at Cupertino, California.
Nothing against
Cupertino, Palo Alto,
Palo Alto,
all those things,
all of them places.
Yeah.
all the valley.
Yeah. So for anyone listening at home, we are going to tag the guys at DENITES DAO everywhere. So whether you found this podcast on YouTube or on our social media or whatever, you will find the links to their work tagged correctly, and you will be able to find them easily. So once again, thank you so much, guys. And we hope to have you on the podcast again. Cheers.
Thank you, man.